Hi, my name's Maggie Long.
I'm Zach.
I've been following Volpin, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure, through his tutorials on his blog and through his Flickr, because you know, he used to do a lot of anime props and I'm more of an anime person, so I've been following the steps and the materials, and it's funny to watch him evolve, where when I first started reading it, it was things I felt like I could do, but now he has like a laser cutter and a vacuum former. So it's getting a little more difficult for me to imagine doing the projects, but I'm interested to hear about sort of the materials he uses to achieve the looks that he does, and sort of, particularly he's a very talented painter as well, which I think adds a lot to his props.
Okay, Matt and I are both going to talk about outsourcing. The next slide. I've just got a bit of a list of a few things that you can look online, and the internet.
I love outsourcing.
Yeah, outsourcing is fantastic because the internet has opened up a world of things. These companies have gone, oh, well, we have a laser cutter and we can make money if we just cut stuff for other people. I made a gravity gun a little while ago, and almost 90% of that thing was made out of laser cut parts that were cut at a shop called Ponaco. I did the design work all by myself in Illustrator, and sent them the files, and I got basically a big package of a bunch of very brittle plastic that I spent 3 or 4 days super gluing together, and then I had most of Gravity Gun done. There's a few other companies, Shapeways, Polylit, that do laser cutting as well. I don't work with them, but they do that. So next slide.
Can I jump in real quick? If you're going to do something if you're going to design something and send it to someone else to make, you want to check and double check things like scale. One of the guns I had, the gun on the bottom there, is part for a sniper rifle that's about big enough maybe for a small child. It was a bunch of wasted acrylic.
This is a lesson learned?
A lesson learned, yes.
The lesson learned is Bill is now taking orders for small children.
Small children.
Very expanding market.
So double check and check anything before you send it, because they don't necessarily know how big.
No, they just hit go on your file and then you're done.
Yeah.
And if you've got anything wrong, then you're going to get it in the mail and it's going to be incorrect. My gravity gun actually is the same thing. I had a bunch of screws that were supposed to be in a specific location, and I had 30 of them, and the part that they were on, they were all clocked 15 degrees. So they were all off exactly half of where they should have been. So I had to re-drill all the holes by hand and then fill in all the old holes, and that was a huge pain in the ass. 3D printing is another thing. This is something for people who are going to be a little bit more advanced with design software. It's also very expensive. But if you want to knock out a bunch of little pipes, my friend Mike Iverson made Ash's gauntlet from Army of Darkness a little while ago. And he got a note from his client saying the finger pistons are slightly too large. And so he had to remake them. And he went to Shapeways and knocked those out. I think 4 of those were about $20. You can get a full helmet printed at a place like that. It's going to be somewhere near $450, $500. But when you think that something like this took me about 3 weeks to sculpt it, maybe that's worth it to you if you have more money than time.
If you are a whiz at 3D modeling,
yep.
you can. The great thing about 3D printing is it's precise. It's exactly to how you drew it. And the peril is that if you drew it wrong, you're kind of hosed. But it's an amazing tool, because if you can imagine it and draw it and model it in 3D, you can have it in your hands in a pretty short time.
Well, and the other thing to note is when you get one of these parts in from a 3D printing place, it's not really a good thing to bring to a convention or wear or use. They're very brittle. It's basically kind of a sort of glue-infused sand, and I'm simplifying things a lot there, but these parts aren't really meant for taking abuse, getting beaten up. So if you get one of these parts in, the best thing to do is make a mold of it, copy it, put it in something more rigid. That adds another layer of complexity, but like we said before, if you need it faster, if you have a little bit more advanced skills, definitely a thing to look into. This is even more specific, I suppose. I do a lot of work with electronics. I do a lot of circuit board design. You can etch your own boards. It's a very dangerous chemical process. You can also get places like Batch PCB to print them for you, and they're very cheap. You can find a lot of things online that people have put their files out for. So I do all mine purpose-built, but let's say you have a costume from Journey, perhaps, and you want 2 people to have like a glowing chest piece when you get close to each other. There are board files out there that you can have printed that have proximity sensors on them. Again, it's more complicated, but you can dig through Batch PCB's archives, and the people who have put their files up have them available for purchasing. There's a lot of other things we can't touch on. Water jet, CNC, vinyl printing, Basically, if you can think of something that is a big, specific, expensive tool, somebody on the internet will probably be able to do it for you for money. That's how we all make our
That's what
money.
makes it great. That's what I love about outsourcing, because if you have a task that you don't have a tool for, and you don't want to buy a CNC machine, there's some dude out there who'll do it for a few bucks. So
Or if you just don't have enough time before the convention, and you're like, hey Bill, can you build this for me for some money? And I would be like, good, if I got
So
the
you
time.
are an outsourcer? You are an outsourcer?
Well, we all are, really.
But you can collaborate with other people who are prop makers if you don't have time and they do, and they want some extra lunch money. Like, hey,
Or
could you
beer
build
money. I mean, liquid lunch.
Or beer.
Yeah.